the first 8 years of the PBA, only a few had become household names for their respective teams. But one name would stand out when it comes to discussions about great reinforcements in the history of the country's premier professional basketball league. No other Toyota import had emerged as winner more than Andrew Fields, who will be joining us straight from New Jersey, USA. Good evening, Andy, and good morning here to all our viewers,
All right.
especially diehard Toyota fans out there. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Things are well. I mean, I'm staying out of away from this virus that we have going on around the world. So, and I hope everybody else is staying safe as well.
All right, okay. I'm sure you're familiar with the heated rivalry of Crispa and Toyota. But one thing I've noticed that during import-laden conferences, Toyota always had the better end of the matchup. And why?
Well, I mean, really, it was being surrounded by the whole gamut of things as far as the organization, which was a class act, and not to take anything away from any other uh, organization that was playing, like San Miguel or Crispo or any of those. But they treated their players well. They accommodated them very well, and they seemed to pick quality imports as well as local players such as
Okay.
Jaworski, Ramon, Anais and Cortland and Twilight. So
Okay, but you recall your most cherished championship win over Crispa?
well, that was pretty much the one in '81.
The last time you and Crispa met in the finals, right?
Yeah, it was. What was really challenging with that was that the previous year we had lost. We had a 4-point lead with 16 seconds left, and
Right.
and UTEX they took it into overtime, or got it into overtime, and we wound up losing that game. So that
Right.
was something that stuck with me and stuck
Right.
with our team for the
Well,
entire year prior.
those things are some of the things you cannot forget, right? The last
No,
60
you can't
seconds.
forget that. Yeah, well, because it's especially for myself, because it's very rare that I've been in a finals game and lost, and I mean that's my entire career as far as college on through the pros. If I got into the finals, I came out victorious, but that
Mm,
particular year, that was my first experience in having
mm.
that, being
All
defeated.
Okay. All right. But can you describe the atmosphere inside the arena each time Toyota and Crispa would go at it?
Oh well, it was a number one rivalry. I mean, it's pretty much one that I haven't really experienced even playing elsewhere. Um, it was just that intense, because not only did it exist as far as us as Americans as imports that took part in it, but it exists even with the local Filipinos, even through the all Filipino league as well. So it was always a competitive contest, and
Mhm.
and it's just something that just carried over, especially for something big in the open conference. It
Mhm.
was
Right, right.
it's
And,
yeah.
and, and each game is always jam packed.
Oh, always. I mean, it was 25,000 plus easily, and
Okay.
it was hot in there, because no matter. I mean, I know they had air conditioning blowing, but it was just that many people in there, and of course, you had the smoking and stuff like that that made it complicated as well. But it was definitely a game that was you get psyched for. You get real psyched up for. So I enjoy competition like that, because it really brings out the best in you
All right.
when you're
Okay.
playing against good competition.
Okay. Right. Back when you started playing for Toyota, were you surprised with the popularity and the warm reception by the fans to you and your team? And were you surprised of the star status of Jaworski, Mon Fernandez, and Francis Arnaez that made Toyota not just one of the best teams, but the most glamorous team in the PBA?
Yeah, like I've mentioned before that the organization as a whole was just it was a class act, and obviously it really showed even in their selection of hiring players, the local players to play with them, as you mentioned, Jaworski, Ramon, Arnaiz, Twilis, and so many others. You know that they got good quality players and people. They were good people as well. They weren't just good players. They was good people. So it was, you know, they made the best of it. I mean, they were a great organization. They had a class act going on for real.
Mhm. All right. Okay. Andrew, on top of your head, who are the best Filipino players you ever seen played in the PBA, and what made these players unique?
Well, I mean, I'm biased right now because
Of course, of
I
course.
played, you know, yeah. I mean, you know, playing with, you know, playing with Sonny and Ramon and Nice and Twilis, who was a rookie at the time when I came there. It was it was like playing with, you know, guys here in America. I mean, they had a maturity of the game. They played the game very well, and and they had an understanding of the game and good communicators because you know we used to always be able to communicate on what we would look for from each other and helping each other out of the expectations of what we want to do. Um, and there's players I can't remember name them by name, but I know Ate Cole, that's one of them.
Atoy, yeah.
Yeah, Ate. Philip Cesar, he was a
Right.
good forward. He was then the guy that played for Utrecht, Utrecht, the shooter.
Boxa Bernardo.
Uh, Also, yeah, he was. Yeah, so you know, there's guys that stayed in your mind that were, you know, when we played their teams, we had to be conscious of them because they were they were outstanding players. They had good game. They were a threat to us. So
All right. Okay. Well, you control the rebounds and you anchor the defense. But do you consider Toyota's brand of play as the most entertaining to watch? If Toyota's brand of play is entertaining, then what can you say about Crispa's brand of play?
well, I thought I think, you know, and this is not to brag on myself or anything, but I really thought that I brought a good dimension to the game because with my outlet passing from rebounding and outlet and to start the fast break was something I don't think no one else was doing. So, and it became an advantage for us as a team, and it paid off actually through the entire time I was there. So it was I think that and of course the excitement in playing that I mean like that Sonny would bring behind the back, his dribbling, his passing, Ramon with his moves and Onias with his shooting and Arnie Twilis who was a raw talent who just
Yeah,
had all
right.
kinds of fancy moves and it was really good to be around and good to watch, you know, and I think that it was a disadvantage uh, uh, for other teams playing against us because we were kind of stacked with players with good talent.
Okay, okay. You played at an era where the likes of Byron Snake Jones, Glenn McDonald, Aaron James, Larry Pounds, Otto Moore, Norman Black, Lou Massey, Franco Weiss, and all the way to the time of Billy Ray Bates. And
Right.
you saw action. But do you believe who is the greatest import you've seen playing in the PBA?
Well, I I'll have to be biased and say myself, but it was it was but a lot of the guys were talented. A lot of them brought experience. Like just for an example, um, Glenn McDonald was a he was a good leader. I mean, he showed by example. He was an NBA, him and Aaron James actually, ex NBA ball players that came to their team and really helped to make the rest of the teams better, and along with and I'm sure it was with sacrifice of themselves, because they could have easily gone out and scored as many points as they want, but they were all about team play and helping develop other players on the team. And that to me, I had respect for that, as opposed to, some of the players like you might mentioned, Billy Ray Bates, who was, a good player, but he was pretty much out there playing for himself a little bit. They just, they didn't feed off of him as much as Donald and Aaron James were doing for UTEC, I believe it was that they were playing for. So
Okay.
those are the kind of players that I have the respect for. Yeah.
Okay. Um, you're used to playing Crispa in a championship series, but how did you feel when you faced different teams in the 1982 championship series versus San Miguel, bannered by Norman Black in the first conference, and the pair of Larry McNeil and Lou Massey in the season-ending conference?
Right. Well, those guys, all of them were, we had to reckon with them. Norman Black was good talent, and he was surrounded even with San Miguel. He had players around him but it's just that we got the best of them for that time. With McNeil and Massey, they were pretty much, they were the lone soldiers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have as much support as far as
Right.
with the local talent as anybody else. So they had to go out there, and with them, that means that they're going to shoot every chance they get, and they're going to, of course, they're going to score high numbers, which
Right.
means for a foreigner guarding another foreigner, it's a long night, and I have to go out there and guard Larry McNeil.
Right.
It's like, God, I know he's going to shoot every time he touches the ball, so you have to adjust to it and just hope that they all don't go in. That's how that works.
Okay.
But that's pretty much that particular year, and I believe we won that year. I believe
Right.
we beat, and but that's how for us to, as a team, that's where it was our advantage as far as with the Filipinos, with the local players, that really made it the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because seeing the numbers of McNeil and Massey, you already had a combined 90 points out there.
Yeah. They was. Every time they touched the ball, and it wasn't like they couldn't play; they could play. So, it's a long night when you know that you got to go out there and they're going to shoot the ball 40 times a piece between them. And, if they make half of them, that's 40 points. You know what I'm saying? And so the main thing is just really containing them so that they don't go completely off on you. And then we, of course, the Filipinos, the local players, they locked down the other guys so that no one else could step up and make the difference. So it was, but we got through it. But it was hard. It wasn't easy. It was a long, I think we swept them.
Right. You swept them.
Right.
Swept them in 3 games. Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel bad at how the Toyota dynasty ended?
Well, yeah. In a sense, and me for other reasons more so than how it ended per se. Like for me, in an interview I had before, it was for me. I had wished that the open conferences with the imports would have been a longer seasons, which would have probably kept me there for maybe quite some time. Where if they could have been 8 months long or 9 months long, something like that. But I understand how they broke it up for the all Filipino league.
Right.
I just didn't think that it was me personally. This is just my opinion. I just didn't think it was necessary for 6'5" and under league. I didn't think that that was something that should have been necessary. I think that maybe they could have had a 3-month all Filipino league and then maybe a 9 or 8-month open conference league where Americans could, be there. But, that's the choice that they made. And I'm not, don't hold that against me for me feeling that way. But that might have definitely prolonged my stay in the Philippines. But at that time, in '83, I think it was just that it was wearing on our organization to, guys were just, it was, it was an internal thing where it was just, we weren't adapting to each other as much. You know what I mean? It just started breaking up. It happens. All good things come to an end. That's normally the saying. And for me, I was already looking elsewhere at that time. So, and I'm sure maybe even other players as well. I'm sure that from there, a lot of the players start breaking up and going to play with different organizations and stuff like that throughout the Filipino League. So, and then it was just for me, I was just trying to find a place, which when I transferred to Europe, to try to have a longer season so I wouldn't have to wait so long in between the seasons before I got back to the Philippines. That was my situation.
Yeah. Okay. When Toyota disbanded, did you receive an offer to play for other teams? And was it true that the Big J, Sonny Jaworski, even asked you to play for his team, Ginebra?
Yeah. He. Well, what happened was I had established myself in Europe at that time. I was in between Holland and going on to France at the time, and I was just had my son. Well, expecting to have my son in '85 of that year, and he had contacted me, and it was just for me. It just wasn't feasible for me. It wasn't something that, like I said, the whole purpose. I would have defeated my purpose for me to go back to the Philippines and still have those short seasons and have so many months that I would go without playing, where when I got myself established in Europe, my seasons were at least 9 months long or 10 months long. So the off season, I could have, 1 or 2 months off season and then come back. But when he reached out, it was just a bad time for me to make that type of decision. And I was just, it was a shame to have to deny him because I enjoyed playing with him. He was definitely, of course, we all know he's a great player. So, and I would love to go after another title with him, but it just never worked out, just in paying out.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the 1983 season. Did you already know the situation your team was facing then? And did anyone tell you ahead, or were you seeing that squad was on the verge of folding up?
Yeah, I was detecting that because it was, we had already been through a management change. That was when Mr. Carlos had took over, and and he only took over because I don't know what happened with Dante's. I can't remember exactly the case why Dante gave it up, but he took it over, and it was just one of those things you can sense something was just different with how the organization was treating players or how things were going on as far as just how things things were changing, and
Right.
And it did become uncomfortable because it started becoming internal a little bit with the team. You could sense that everybody I don't know if it was because players had an insight that the organization was folding and they were worrying about where they're going to go play next, or trying to make sure where they could go play next, So it became, you could sense that everybody heading, branching off into different directions on what their future held for them. You know what I mean?
Okay. Um, but why do you think the PBA is one of the leagues you've ever played for?
Well, I mean, I enjoyed it because it's just that you're surprised at when you go to a country and you
Mhm.
can see well, you become aware of so much talent, like you just at awe at the talent that exists, guys playing the way they could play and how they could play. And it's like you're going like, wow, how they know about basketball like that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So but it was just good that I was able to have that experience, because it kept me motivated. I had just got released from the Portland Trailblazers, and here's a man, Dante Zaverio, comes up to me and says, "Listen, I would like for you to come and play for my team in the Philippines." And I'm like, "What?" He offered an X amount of dollars and told me, "Listen, come on, come with me." So I can't, So you're dealing with a lot of unexpected situations at that time when you first get on a plane and you're landing somewhere that you're not even familiar with. It's nothing that I had ever studied in my world history in high school or anything. So or even college, but I became a worldly person from all that because it gave me that type of exposure.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, as far as Filipino coaches are concerned, who were the best coaches you've ever seen in the PBA?
Oh wow. Well, now you pressing my luck. I mean, I like. I mean, of course, I have to give respect. May rest in peace to Fort Acuna. I mean, I
Okay.
played for him.
Right.
He was definitely someone that he had a good understanding. He was a good person, um, and I enjoyed playing with him. But I can't remember his name. But he was, I think he coached San Miguel.
Oh, that's Tommy Manotoc.
Mm, I can't
Tommy
remember.
Manotoc.
Yeah. Him and he actually, the other coach that he came from there to coach us. In our 80, who was his
Uh,
name?
Ed Ocampo.
Ed Acampo.
Right.
Yes.
Your former coach,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
81,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. So he was a good coach, and the coach for CRISPR. He was a
Mhm.
good coach.
The
Yeah,
legendary
he
Bibi Talupan.
he had good strategies. He had good strategies. He
Uh-huh.
is. I mean, his success against us during those times weren't as, but you could see that he had good coaching skills because he had, you know,
Uh-huh. Okay,
you
okay.
could tell. Yeah.
But in the old days, while playing for Toyota, did you remember a Filipino player who tried to get into your head or did some cheap shots to get you out of your game? Can you name several instances?
Uh, well, I mean, it's always going to be some guys that they'll try to intimidate you with certain things. I mean, whether it's with an elbow or, that goes with all the foreign players. Snake Jones was a little bit like that. He was Snake was always the type that's gonna talk stuff with you and kind of push you around and just see if you got the nerves and stuff to play with him. But um, no one that really stands out. I mean, Billy Ray Bates, he talks a lot of stuff. He was always running his mouth bit.
Big mouth, huh?
I'll give. Now, don't get me wrong. All those guys, they could pretty much back up their game. But I mean, it goes for me as well. I mean, I just try to lead by example. When I'm playing and you try stuff, I just I just take my game to another level, just take it another notch, and
Okay.
and just show them. That's how I do that.
Okay. Aside from Jaworski, Fernandez, and Arnaiz, who among your Toyota teammates were your favorites?
Well, I mean, I loved Arnold Twillis. I really just thought,
right.
Yeah, I thought that he was, he was just such a raw talent. The thing is, it was he could have become such a great player. I mean, may rest in peace and all, but he had such a large future in front of him. He was a talent to reckon with. It was just he was raw. He was like and his personality was good and I mean that he stands out to me because I saw him as a rookie and I knew, and you could see the progression that he had in front of him, how he could progress. I mean, because he was getting better and better every day. I mean, we know that, like you said, Jaworski's and Ramon and Arnaiz, they were just, they were who they were. But to be able to see someone before your own eyes progress and get better, that's special, And so I really, he stands out to me. He stands out.
All right. But a few years removed from the PBA, were you still able to keep track of what's happening in the games? And were you surprised to learn that Jaworski played and coached at the same time up to the age of 52? Have you seen anything like that before?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, but he had the fortitude to do that. Though he had the physique. You know what I mean? He had the game. He had talent. I mean, he was so far ahead of his game that he, to play those many years, he was only catching up to his game. Where it was more like, when he got older, he got slower or something like that. But while he was just a physique of the game. He just had so much talent. And he was strong, and he knew he had a mind of the game, which was his biggest advantage with most of the players. Most of the players in that league, he could outthink you. And that's why I guess he played as long as he did, and he just loved the game that way. I mean, like even for myself, I played till I was 40 years old, and it was because. I didn't want to walk away from the game regretting that I left. You know what I mean? I want to make sure it was out of my system. And so I'm sure that Sonny probably felt the same way about that, making sure that he didn't want to regret nothing. You know what I mean?
Okay. Right. We have a segment here called The List. And this is just a short list of a little bit of everything. Can I ask you the two things that surprised you the first time you played in the PBA in 1979? Two things.
Wow, two things.
Right.
Wow, that surprised me.
Right.
Well, I'm not being surprised about anything. It was. Well, I mean, with the play in the Arnetta Coliseum, that was a surprise to me because, it always made me relate to the fact that that's where Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier fought. And I guess the other part was how you know, the fans were so avid fans, you know, like they were, when they were, you know, Toyota fans, they were just diehard fans. I mean, and that doesn't, like I said, that goes for all the players and all the other teams as well. But you know, these are fans that would actually come by our barracks and come see us and stuff like that. So I just the intensity of people's involvement and support was really the surprising thing to me. You know, where how, you know, and I hope that I've never denied anybody an autograph whoever asked for one. So that's you know, I always signed autographs. So you know, that was those were kind of surprising things. The, you know, just being overwhelmed, you know, by people that supported the sport.
All right. Okay. But out in the streets or everywhere you go here in the Philippines, I'm sure you were given a rock star treatment. Can you recall the unforgettable places you've ever been in the Philippines?
Oh well, well, I mean, and like you say, almost everywhere you go, it was, especially in the different provinces that you go to. I can't remember them all by name, but
Right.
what I do know is that back then, I know that in certain province, everybody doesn't have a television or even maybe a radio, but
Right.
those people that do, that they all go over to that one person's house and they all watch the game. So, and I'm sure they all have their different opinions and rivalries. Like, you know, like when it's Toyota and CRISPR, some will be CRISPR, some be. So, you know, when I've experienced visiting these provinces and realizing those situations, that was touching to me, because it was you know, watching generations of kids. I mean, you know, like for an example, I received a Facebook message from someone who at that time, he was 17 years old. He came by and took a picture with me at the province, and now he's 50 years old. You know, and so it's like, you know, and I read the different things on the articles about, you know, how, you know, like myself, I haven't been there in 37 years, and how this generation of fans probably wouldn't know anything of me, you know, or you know, wouldn't have any knowledge about it, but they're the parents of kids now that could relate that and explain it to them. So I find that to be interesting, you know, because you know, if I should be visiting the Philippines in the coming future, I'm sure that it won't be. I mean, I won't say it won't be, but you know, that generation is much older now, so it would be a different presentation to meeting people. You know what I mean? As opposed to a lot of kids. I don't know how many kids would know of me these days. You know, I mean, 37 years since I've been there, so it's just interesting to see the consummate how it just changed, that cycle of people. And when you mentioned the fact that Sonny Jaworski, you know, playing as long as he did, well, he held on to that with the different fans and throughout the nation. And I mean, I heard that even after that, he got into politics. So that had to be an advantage for him as well, because you know, people could relate to him by seeing them on the television, young and old. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's how I see that.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see you back here in Manila, and probably in the future receive the PBA Hall of Fame award.
Well, I mean, whatever the case may be, I had did an interview. I can't remember who the person was before, but he was at up near my college at Cheney, and we sat down and did an interview, and at that time, and that was some time ago, he was explaining to me what would I be interested in coming back to the Philippines to coach or something, and I had put it out there that I would be, but no one seemed to have showed any interest. So, but I do have my future wife and I have friends that are in Virginia Beach, and Donna and Mike, that they do a lot of missionary work in the Philippines, and we might take that opportunity to travel with them the next time they go. And I'll be the first to let you guys know that I'm coming through, so everybody could be, willing, knowing that I'll be there, get a chance to see each other.
All right. Okay. Right. Two players. Do you have two players from on opposing side you wish to play for Toyota during that time?
That to play for Toyota?
Two players from an opposing squad that you
Right.
wish to play for Toyota during that time.
Well, I mean, I liked what you call him, Abinado, the shooter.
Bolts Adornado, right?
Yeah. I liked him. I liked him as a player. I thought that I thought he could have brought a dimension to our game. I liked Ate Ko. Yeah, I liked him as well. But other than that, we were pretty much stacked with a lot of talent that it wouldn't have been too much room for anybody. I mean, I enjoyed, and I don't want to leave out, I probably haven't mentioned his name enough, but Abby King, he was a good power forward for us. He did a little bit of everything, and I enjoyed, so it wasn't too much room on our team for any other talent, really. I mean, I think it was well balanced as far as how other teams had players as well. I mean, the different organizations that were short of talent just by, you would know that by the all Filipino league, about. But when it came to the quality, the premier teams, that you knew that they were well stacked and talented with good players. So I wouldn't have changed it really much. I admired a lot of other players and how they played, but not one in which I would say, oh man, I wish I was playing with him or he could come and play with us. No, I was happy just where I was. That was, I couldn't have been in a better place during that time than with Toyota. Yeah.
Okay, right. Andy, it's been a pleasure for us to have you here, but would you like to greet somebody else out there, probably old Toyota fans out there who are waiting for this interview? And
well, I mean, all I can say, I mean, I can't remember anybody by name or anything. I mean, there was good fans that I remember. I just can't remember it by name, but I like to just say to all the fans and the supporters that I appreciate you, acknowledging me. And after 37 years, it's been a while, but I appreciate you guys, and I love the experience that I had in Manila, in the Philippines, and hopefully I'll get the opportunity to come there again to see everyone. So,
of course, yeah.
As they would say, stay tuned. You know what I mean? You never know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to greet some of our viewers out there. Belated happy birthday to our fellow JJLHS alumni board member, Mr. Olan Faler. To my longtime classmate, the lovely Sharon Laksamana. Happy birthday to as well, and birthday greetings as well to Miss Donna Ancheta, our former head at STI Las Piñas, and my former faculty colleague, Ms. Jeline Eugenio. Happy birthday to Ms. Gladys Opeña of the MPBL. So, come hell or high water, we're here ready to deliver the clutch points here at the link. This is your moderator, Ray Hobles, signing off for now, but we'll be back for our next few episodes of the hottest hoop talks you'd love to learn and discuss then and now. In behalf of our director, Alvin Alejo, and sponsors Rain or Shine, Smart, and LGR, thank you and see you in our next episodes. Bye, Andy. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for,
You're
for
welcome.
having you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.